So we're back at the 7-bed HMO that we started in the start of October. It's been around about 10 weeks since we started progress. We're due to finish next Wednesday, and well, it's looking pretty awesome. So come on in and see the progress. So here in the downstairs room, you may remember we were going to put an ensuite in this one, and there she is. This has all been ripped back. We've got new plaster on the walls. The doors just being rehung at the moment. All these ensuites are pretty similar. Standard 3-piece suite, shower, wash hand basin, toilet. There are 2 rooms above us, and there's a room next door, which are pretty much identical in terms of layout. So these ensuites are effectively stacked on top of each other, which saves you money on your plumbing, saves you time on your installation. When you're looking to put ensuites into a house, try not to put them miles away from each other, or try and keep them close to existing kitchens or bathrooms where there's likely to be plumbing already. It'll probably keep your costs down, and in this case, it actually makes really good sense to have it in this corner of the room. And there was a big sort of wood boxing, shelving type thing going on here, and inside it was the gas meter. Now we have had this checked out. Some councils do not like having gas meters inside bedrooms. We don't have any problems here with this one, so it's going to stay, but it will be boxed in, will be boarded over, and it'll look nice and neat and tidy, but for the moment, it's staying in the corner. Oh, El Briscoe. So with this kitchen, we won't be doing a huge amount to it. It will be all cleaned up, but it's served as a really useful place for people, obviously the builders, to make their cups of tea and coffee, and for a general kind of storage area at the moment. One thing I would say when you're on a building site is you don't really want it to be too messy. This isn't the best in all honesty, but to be fair, this room was always designed to be like this because we weren't ripping it out. This place did come with loads and loads of white goods, so we've got a big double-sized freezer, washer, dryer, a separate fridge, and another big fridge freezer. When you're looking at your HMOs, remember that your tenants are going to need somewhere to store all their food and all their, obviously, their pots, the pans, etc., etc. Now, normal HMO compliance standards says that you need 1 500ml cupboard unit per person and 1 freezer drawer. That isn't a huge amount, and to be honest, that isn't enough. We've got around about 11 units at home, and that's just for 2 of us. You know, and we've pretty much filled our kitchen. So when you're thinking about doing your HMOs, so make sure you've got enough cupboard spaces, make sure you've got enough fridges and freezers, so it's easy for your tenants to stay there. And when they're actually living here, they don't want to leave because all their amenities are actually taken care of. So outside, we've dug a trench here for installing our soil pipes. When we were doing this, we actually discovered the drainage pipe, the clay pipe that runs to the back of the yard, had collapsed in on itself and you completely repair it. Now this wasn't extra that we didn't account for, but something you cannot foresee, and sometimes you're just going to come across things that you wouldn't have known about at the start. There's no way you could have predicted them, and this is why you need to have a contingency built in within your refurb cost. Thankfully, we have a very patient investor, someone who's willing to work with us and understands that these things happen, but because this deal is so good and because he's getting all of his money back out, he's not too fussed if it's going to cost him extra £2,000 or £3,000 to sort something out. So this is going to be dug down later on this week. There's a channel that's going to be run from here all the way through to the back of the garden where the manhole is, a new pipes being laid in, and building control sign-off happened on Friday just gone. So all this is set to be done this week. It looks like a huge amount, but you'd be surprised what a good build team can get done in just 7 days. So this is one of the bathrooms, the communal bathrooms for the place. So in here, what we're going to do really is just give it a facelift, put a new shower in, clad all the walls, hide some of the crap that's going on behind them, make good, fit a new door, put a new towel rail in, and to be honest, this is looking really good. And it's nice and spacious. I mean, if you're using this bathroom for yourself, you can step out the shower, you've got plenty of room to dry off, you're not bumping around, and having a separate toilet means you're not going to be queuing to use the toilet if someone's in the shower or vice versa. You can get into them regardless. This was looking pretty good. It will clean up really, really nicely. We've already got some of the beading going in, and well, much cheaper than tiling and looks just as good. So I was speaking downstairs about how these en-suites are effectively stacked. So if you look out this window, you can see that this is the back wall that just runs straight down the back of the house. Below us is the other downstairs room. The other side of that wall is the other downstairs room, and all our en-suites are effectively back to back. So this one is directly above the ensuite that is below us. And by doing this, obviously it saves us some cost, saves us some time when we're doing it, and again, plenty of space. For those of you who are wondering, your average ensuite is around about 2.5 to 3 square meters. Obviously they can be much bigger if you wish, but for a normal ensuite, you're looking around about 2.5 to 3 square meters. So if you're wondering if your room can fit one, make sure you have enough space in your room for 3 square meters for your ensuite. So this room, we were kind of umming and ahhing about whether or not we wanted to make this into a bedroom. Officially, it is big enough to be let out as a legal room, but when you compare it to the other size rooms, it feels tiny. I mean, this is just over 7 square meters, so it's more than big enough to be a bedroom. But it just didn't really fit with the house, and then we were kind of 50-50 on whether or not we were going to get the licensing. We did bring the HMO officer out and the manager out, and you know, they were kind of like, well, you can make a good case for it because you've got other amenities in other areas, but there's no designated communal space. So what we've just decided is, you know what, this is always going to be a 7-bed HMO. This is going to be a communal room. We're going to put a sofa in here. Hopefully we can get 2 2-seater sofas in here, a little TV, somewhere for the tenants where they can just chill out. This is actually something we just found. I said that before, you can open walls up and fly stuff. We found an entire room hiding behind here. So this was just like a paneled sort of door kind of type thing. We knocked it through and found there's a whole other space in here. Now, we looked at doing something with this. We looked at the cost of making it maybe into a toilet, or even just a storeroom. But because you're gonna have to fireboard it out and you've got to put other lighting and regs and all that sort of stuff in, it just wasn't worth the cost. It wasn't gonna give us anything on our end value. And when you're investing in property, it's not about what you want to do, it's about actually what physically makes sense financially. And the cost to put this in, we were not gonna realize on the back end, it wasn't really gonna increase our rents, wasn't really gonna increase the value of the house, so there's just no point doing it. So we'll just board this back up, put a lock on it, then it's there if anyone ever needs to use it in the future. So when we originally viewed this house, there was a little bit of damp in this corner and we thought it was likely coming from the chimney, but we weren't too sure if it was the chimney or whether or not it was just because there was a wardrobe there and we had some condensation damp from a lack of ventilation. Turns out it was the chimney. So we've done some work to the chimney, and you can see it if you poke your head out of this window and look up. We've repointed the whole stack, we've repaired some of the flashing, we've recapped it, it looks much, much better, and that wall is now just drying out. And believe me, that's about twice as good as it was this time last week, so it is moving through. Gonna get the heat on in here, really crank that up, and when that's dried out, put some stain block over it, repaint it, patch up the plasterwork, and away we go. So this bit of damp that's on the corner here, you can see this is drying out. This side is much, much better than the other side, but it's all from the same thing, but it's nearly done. Once that's finished off, this plasterwork has been prepped, it'll be re-skimmed. We're gonna leave a vent in here for the chimney to allow the ventilation that you need. Remember, chimneys are built with a hole both ends. If you cap it off, you're gonna cap moisture in there and you don't want that. It's gonna come through, it's gonna soak up your plaster, soak up your paint, you're gonna be staining. That's not what you wanna see. So all in, this house is looking pretty good. We haven't had to do loads and loads and loads of extra stuff. Basically everything we were gonna do initially, we are doing. Everything's turned out exactly as we want. A couple of minor issues here and there, stuff that we've had to overcome along the way. But you have to remember, every house, every deal you ever do is gonna have a hiccup. You've gotta be prepared for that. And that is where your contingency comes in. But we know this is going to rent for just as much as we said, if not a little bit more, hoping to get a little bit more on that end value. Solid house. Good to see the progress and looking forward to coming back next week and seeing it completed.